think if they have any of those mistakes, like Wind getting caught, Juyu not really being on top of his game on the Sergeant Hammer, then I think they might crumble under the pressure that Korean teams can certainly put on that, especially since Korean teams are much more practiced playing against it, right? Because Genji's Rich has been playing it for months now, and China's only now starting to pick up on it.
There they are. CE, in fact, one of the slowest teams to pick up on it, but they've shown they can make it work very simply. As we are heading to Sky Temple as our second match, and KT going to be bringing us first pick and first ban. CE going to be being given the map choice by KT. We actually saw, thanks to during HGC Europe recently via Leftovers, how important a map choice can actually be in these kind of series after they complete, in the words of their players, almost all of their first ever reverse sweeps except for Mopsio. But it was very impressive to see. So map choice can be a huge deal. But
against
KT,
Fnatic, right?
They really think they have that control. And yes, it was against Fnatic.
Not the easiest team to actually to get a reverse sweep on. So kudos to the Leftovers. Actually, a candidate that many people think could go to the Western Clash this time.
It's possible. They're 2-2, if I remember correctly, which is a feasible amount to make it to the Western Clash. Right now, though, the top 3 position is held quite strongly by Method, Liquid, and Dignitas. But with Method and Liquid on the same score, Dignitas a little bit further ahead. But Leftovers, it only takes a good performance in the playoffs to be able to make it up to that, make it into that Western Clash position. And right now, they're looking pretty good.
Yeah, and the team, of course, that we're probably not going to see at the Western Clash this time, a team that performed so well in the last one was the Zealots. They still need a little bit of time to find that synergy, to find the momentum as the new unit with Quacknix in them. But enough about Europe. Let's move back to China here. Game number 2, KT and CE. CE in the lead here, 1-0. They're starting things off here very normally, very neutrally here with the Malfurion and the Phoenix. So it wouldn't surprise us to see actually a Thrall coming in for CE once again with the Earthquake. Easy synergy for that Purification Salvo. Diablo being banned this time around, though, which is pretty interesting. What do you think about Diablo into Sergeant Hammer, by the way, for last game?
They banned it first last time as well. I think it's a preference for KT to not run into. They don't like being dove themselves, and also they can absolutely run a Sergeant Hammer comp, as we've already seen. Which is why I think KT might have actually banned it, banned the Diablo.
Yeah,
but it got stolen by CE. It's my running theory. But either way, Diablo is still one of the strongest tanks. He can definitely snowball an unexpected victory sometimes. But it is just a really solid hero to ban. It kind of denies a big tool that we see in the Phoenix combos, with Phoenix already being taken by CE. So I think it is just a preference ban by KT into Sergeant Hammer. If Hammer can time siege tactics well, then Diablo has made a horrible decision. He's just put himself into the backline of the enemy team, and without any value out of it, because Hammer's unstoppable.
That's the Artanis syndrome, then.
Yes, just like, well, I'm here now. Lightning breath. And it's immediate panic play if that happens. So I would argue Diablo is potentially one of the worst tanks into Hammer, unless you get the overpower first and can tackle while Hammer is still stuck.
All right, speaking of Sergeant Hammer, on Sky Temple, traditionally it hasn't really been the most popular pick, simply due to the way that the objective works, and you sometimes need to be very fast with the rotations, very quick to adjust your positioning. And with the Sergeant Hammer, you don't really have that. You won't have enough time to even transition into the late game like we saw it in game 1, right, to get the orbital BFG. On Sky Temple, it's not always a guaranteed thing that you actually make it to level 20, so I'd be surprised if CE wants to go for it again.
Speaking of heroes that we would like to see teams going for again, so far Yrel completely ignored in this particular draft, and with a solo lane needed by CE, perhaps that might be one they want to pick up, and there it is, Yrel and Muradin coming in here. So a little bit of extra slows, defending Wrath with a nice slow, Muradin with the Thunderclap slows. They have some good little setup for Phoenix here.
Tetra, right now, I look at this draft by CE and I'm scared. I'm scared for KT, because right now I failed to see a single weakness in there. They have a top-tier support, they have Phoenix, and although two of the biggest enablers of a Phoenix purification salvo, namely the Thrall and the Diablo, have been banned by KT. There's still Muradin who has slow. There's still a Jaina that could be picked on top of it, right, if KT doesn't pick it themselves. So there's many opportunities to actually make that Phoenix sign still. Now, if you're KT, they need a good tank. And what would be a good option for it? Johanna, perhaps? ETC?
ETC could be interesting, actually, especially against Malfurion. If not, it's a pretty big map for Stitches, so I would doubt that. Johanna, what tanks do slows? ETC can do slows, but instead it is just going to be the ETC. And like you said, Lunara coming in. So they have a little bit of burst poke damage from Hanzo, damage over time. Malfurion's already pretty reasonable healing for this. I mean, Lunara's interesting, but we have a lot of very self-sufficient heroes, which means Lunara's gonna have trouble to burn through both the self-sustain and the consistent healing of 365. Timeless is going to have his work cut out for him, and TWT, I think his damage output is going to be the key factor here. If he can get some of those good CC abilities, those good slows especially, and good roots from that Decacane out, so Lunara and ETC can start actually dropping the damage in the CC, then they might be able to do it. But that's a lot of pressure to put on the support player.
The weird thing is, like, we expected a Lunara to show up way earlier in China, right? We were always like, yeah, okay, on BOE, here it could work. Oh, the enemy team has an Uther picked early. Let's go and punish it with Lunara. In this matchup, though, I'm not sure how much value the Bambi is going to get, right? Because, as you said, so much self-sustain available. Muradin. Then we had heroes like Phoenix with the shields. We have Malfurion who can go for Tranquility at level 10 and will have a beautiful time actually countering all the AoE poison by Lunara. So can it work out? Can she actually find that beautiful sweet spot for her to land that damage? I mean, as you said, slows are going to be needed for the extra damage later.
At least it's not. At least this is a composition I think Thornwood Vine is just superb for. Stay at range, poke, do what you can. Because the burst build, you're against a Malfurion, but I think you're at far too much risk if you choose to dive into the backline when you already have a really solid front line of your own, and just both of your assassins are very poke focused. Leaping Strike might be a little too risky, but I could be proved wrong. In the case, it might be a great escape tool to get away from Yrel. Let's find out as we are heading into game number 2 on Sky Temple. And on the left-hand side, it is KT, Kudos top, with Hope on Lunara, Timeless on ETC, TWT on Decacane, Hikari on Dahaka, and Hape is playing Hanzo.
Facing them for the second time, currently leading 1-0 is CE, with a Luful on that Phoenix. Wind is playing Muradin, 365 on the support on Malf. We have KTY playing Yrel for the first time of the day, and Zhuyu on the Ming Li. Li Ming once again going for the power-hungry build, so nothing out of the ordinary here. We're not on Battlefield of Eternity, after all, in which we sometimes see slightly different builds go down. For now, though, Timeless, I really want to highlight Timeless there. Seems to have a really big hero pool in terms of the warriors. Is picking the Garrosh, is picking the ETC, so not really going for these standard warrior picks that we're used to seeing all the time. In fact, they banned out the Diablo themselves, who could have been a nice warrior. And Muradin actually going for the block here, saying that, you know what? We're going to try to diminish that damage coming in from Hanzo and Lunara auto attacks.
I mean, the fact is, both of these are poke heroes. It's very with abilities mostly. Third Wind should be a really solid talent for against them. The reasoning that Muradin has gone for this instead, it's definitely due to Hanzo because he has fantastic auto attacks, but so does ETC. His auto attack damage can be a little bit underestimated, and guess who Muradin is going to be in range of the most? It's going to be Timeless on that ETC. So Muradin playing for the front line and trusting his team, trusting that Malfurion, especially 365, to out-heal the damage of the backline. It's a very trusting play that could work out in his favor, but if we start seeing that poison damage tick up, and if 365 looks like he's struggling, then there might be some regrets coming in from Wind.
I really like what KT has done so far, by the way, in terms of dominating the lower half, the bottom half of the map. Not only did they send Lunara into the Yrel, which is actually a fantastic matchup for the Lunara, I feel, because of her range and the consistent poke, but also they're invading this mercenary camp. The question is, can they actually do it and finish it all the way? Here is the Haka using that global. It's a 5 versus 4, 5 versus 5 actually right now, but look at the health bars. Resets are already coming in, and CE has defended.
Resets, 3 kills, make it 4. Timeless, nowhere to go.
Nice try, buddy.
beautiful Stormbolt avenging Wrath, and down goes Timeless. We are at 2 minutes and 4 kills have been achieved by CE. They got the Merc camp, and that was a unmitigated, unarguable disaster.
That was a disaster. No other word describes it better than that. Not only did they use the Haka and committed his global momentum into this, but also CE, with that early rotation by Phoenix, basically establishing themselves a 5 versus 4 situation until the Haka arrived. And even after the Haka arrived, they had done such a formidable job defending that the health bars were so low for KT they couldn't even maintain that pressure, that push anymore. So the mercenary camp goes over for them. They won the team fight. They got a lot of kills, and as a result, almost a 2-level lead. Snowballing is the name of the game for CE right now.
Yep, they begin to push in aggressively in this top lane. However, there's a pretty good defense. EDC and the Haka both arrive. They're trying to kill off Li Ming, and they do get a nice little face melt here. Yep. That's going to be the first kill that KT been able to achieve, thanks to a nice burrow in by Dahaka and a power slide by ETC. They're looking for another one, actually. Where's face melt? They're holding face melt until they see that teleport start. Alufal buying his time with it, trying to get himself into a good position. Stormbolt's good. Teleport, 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 teleport! And Lufal is out of there.
You can see how Wind was almost body blocking the flight path there for Phoenix there as well.
That Stormbolt came down, it should have been the immediate teleport. It was actually a little delayed. Yeah. Speaking of Stormbolt, there it goes off to Hanzo, who is removed from the map.
And with that beautiful healing Battle upgrade and the healing found there as well, Alufal says, you know what? Ain't nobody got time to go back to base. I'm just going to heal here and come back into that fight right here, right now. And already with a double kill against KT, they're rotating over to the top. Hikari, I'm not sure if he was warned in time. I'm not sure if he was aware. There goes the burrow. Stormbolt timed after it and the root as well. And that is going to be an easy peasy pickup for Shuyu. Probably going to get another kill. There we go.
And he's actually going for TWT as well, but there's enough minions that TWT is able to position himself away from Zhu's damage, so that is fine. Alufal, in the meantime, finishes up this middle temple and can move back into lane, only losing his shield, actually, so even better. Trades out, only health it out, doesn't have to port or anything. Fantastic.
And this is just one of those moments, you know, Tetra, when you're the solo laner, in that case, KTY on that Urel, and you just hear that announcer go, enemy slain, enemy slain. Enemy hero slain. All the time, you're like, I'm having a good time. I can just tunnel vision on my minions. My team is doing all the work. And if I don't die that much, I might still appear on the MVP screen.
And Urel moves her way down to bot lane to continue to put some pressure on. Phoenix even coming down as well. They're just going to try and push. Because guess what? They're level 8 right now. Next objective's still a little bit away. If they can take down these towers and maybe even the fountain, at level 10, boss could be on the cards for CE.
Yeah, absolutely true. I mean, Urel, once again, using the Divine Steed, by the way. I think China has definitely found the value and the use of that talent finally, which is pretty cool to see. Allows Urel to rotate much faster. She's going to have better time escaping hero onslaughts as well, if needed, of course. The Divine Favor, by the way, or Gift of the Naru, sorry, at level 4, providing much needed extra burst healing, which can always be nice against heroes like Lunara, for example. Like, Lunara at this point is going to have an even harder time to kill anyone because simply there's so much counter healing available for CE.
Lufal not even burning his teleport, very patient, knows that he would not be taken below shield, so just takes the damage, takes the CC, and prepares to rotate. As level 10 is about to be hit, Siege Giants and Li Ming already poking onto these tier 2s. Looks like CE not going to risk a boss immediately. Instead, starting off bruiser camps, and they're going to try and use level 10 to control the objective. This can allow them to set up for boss. The opponents decide to invade, looking for Hope, not able to find him yet. Get a little bit of damage with the orb. Oh, this invade though.
Okay, oh, never mind. They found her. Ardent Defender is online though. Can she survive? Can KTY live through this? Yes, he can, but he had to give up the mercenary. That's a good steal for KT, no doubt.
Yeah, and this is the idea. I wouldn't have minded seeing the rest of CEs go for boss there. Instead, they're going for kills. Here comes the Raft as they move in. Here comes the Orbs, looking for any kind of kill here. They really want to punish this camp being stolen, but the disengage is too good for KT, and that's a little bit of an advantage that CE had, being burned away by just a very nice invade by KT.
Yeah, I think Lunara actually wasted a little bit of time. She could have had like a couple of laser shots from this temple up to this point, as long as her teammates had warned her, you know, the moment CE stopped chasing. But they had the call, you know, 5 people are chasing us right now. Lunara, get on the temple, get those towers a little more quickly and bring us closer to level 10. As it is, though, it was not meant to be, and even without the temple shots, they are getting level 10 eventually and have enough time to regroup. Dehaka's in the top lane, getting that wonderful split soak in. And when is KT going to flip the switch? When are they going to try to make something happen now?
Marsh, Sleep, Arrow, Isolation, and Leaping Strike. Okay, is going for the safety. This could really help against the Yrel. We'll have to wait and see. But for now, like you said, are they going to flip the switch? Looks like they're just going to let the shots happen. This will be all 3 forts going down. These final 5 shots will kill off top fort.
Fourth warrior
stand corrected. It's made of paper mache, but it's alive. KTY, who's the avenging Raph, in trouble though, gets moved in. Nice wave of force to try and get him out, but he will still go down thanks to the isolation of Dehaka. Here comes to stay a while and listen. Meridian being woken up, Dwarf tossing away. Mosh Pit has been used and interrupted very quickly. Teleport is used. The tongues have been good, but they're not good enough to set up for a second kill.
Yeah, that was so well done. Not only the isolation landing on the Yrel, and normally, as crazy as it sounds, right? Yrel was the right target to focus here. Normally, you don't want to go for the tanky goat girl. But in that case, when the CC is real, the tongues, the silence, everything is working out like a charm, you basically prevent her from using the Ardent Defender. I'm not sure if Malfurion's Nature's Cleanse was ready there at level 7, but I didn't see it go through. In that case, though, could have maybe been a lifesaver. As it is, Yrel is back to business. Good thing is she hasn't even used the Ardent Defender now. Could use it in a team fight to come. How aggressive does CE want to play this, though? I think it's safe to see that KT is back in the game, by the way. A 1-level disadvantage is nothing to come back from, sorry. Let's see.
Yeah, they're looking fine. As such, CE have moved back into lanes to begin soaking again. And I'm really I like that CE moved to try and get kills. It was a decision. And a committed decision is always nice to see from teams of the level of CE to try and punish after that camp was stolen. The fact is they didn't get it, and you have to wonder, if they'd gone for boss, would they have maybe been able to do that with 3 people instead? Would they have been punished by the rotation with level 10 from KT? It's very much Timeless. But as Timeless will get taken out, CE still able to find these kills.
They're still finding those kills. They might find another one. The salvo comes in against Hope. ETC is no more. She cannot protect the Lunara, and with that stutter stepping by Alufal and the salvo, they basically make sure that they now have staggered deaths on KT, and I think that is a free boss right here, right now. They don't even need Yrel to basically help here. She does have very low boss damage in the first place. All they need here, most important, is Li Ming and Phoenix. And Tetra, we talked about the boss, right? Everything KT needed to do there at this point was not getting caught. Unfortunately, they lost 2 heroes, and as such, are now going to have to face heavy pressure in the bottom lane.
I don't like that Meridian rotated that quickly. ETC wasn't showing. It could have been a sneaky steal with Yrel not there. Wave of Force was the only boss secure tool they actually had outside of Meridian CC. But they were able to get it. Boss is acquired, and with that rotation from Wind, it would have been very risky for ETC to move in anyway, so it's still a fairly safe move. But the fact is, he did put his team in danger in exchange for just a couple extra shots.
Look at KT. They're ignoring the boss. They realize, you know what? If those temples go through, we might not be able to recover. And they use so many tools to get the Alufal, who was in the wilds in the open, but they needed to have a lockdown finally to stop that bottom temple from channeling. But you know what? C's going to be like, you know what? Phoenix was just our sacrificial lamb. We're getting control over the entire rest of the map. Dehaka uses global, can no longer do that, and as such, as long as they hold one temple with that big lead, structural lead that they already have, they're never going to fall behind again.
I mean, these shots coming in from this bot temple aren't even going to get bot fort. This is still looking so good for CE. Mid top temple, as you can see, already working on the fountain. Might actually get a little bit of damage onto the keeper. I'm not sure how many shots are left. And that's definitely getting damage onto the keep. Bot fort, a little bit wounded. Dehaka trying to get some minion assistance here, and currently no one from CE in position to defend this. This might work out for Dehaka. He's got another minion wave on the way. He might get bot.
Wind.
He's going very aggressive. His team's getting zoned out by ETC. He might be in danger. Might have bitten off more than he can chew, but he's certainly trying to chew as Dehaka comes in from behind. Great isolation onto the Phoenix immediately. Stay one and listen is interrupted by Wind. Phoenix being forced to teleport away to a very interesting position, but this is the only safe one due to the positioning of Hope and Dehaka, as they are forced to back off here. CE, nice zoning by KT to prevent that going south.
Wind almost regretted his aggressive move there because, like a pitbull, he was not willing to let go until the job was done. And Muradin in the process was getting shot down low by KT, but also you got to give kudos to them for not losing a single team member. So at least for the time being, they're not falling behind even further. But look at these mercenaries. Look at the minions. Lufel already sieging up there. Wind is here to zone the enemy team out to keep them at bay. ETC going in with a flank here.
10 seconds till Mosh. This is an aggressive move. Timeless has to live. He needs to be alive when this Mosh is available. The keep goes down. CE going to be able to disengage without too much of a bother here. So nice little move in here. Mosh is now available, and Timeless desperately wants CE to turn around and fight him, but they are having none of it.
Perfect timing, perfect play by CE. Not only did they get this top keep with mercenary camp pressure, with medium pressure, but they also did it shortly before 16 hit for KT. So at any given point, they made sure that they had the massive advantage of the level 16 talents there. KTY needs to be careful. I think KT wanted to actually go for an invade here, but without 16, you know, with CE spotting them out once again, it was nothing that could be done. Dwarf launch, by the way, once again by Muradin, going in for that aggressive gap closing playstyle.
Nice to see. Two different teams running it is always cool. It's unfair advantage coming in for that Lunara Splintered Spear, the nature's toxin, sorry, and the unfair advantage. So, well, personally, my favorite build. Very cool. Gives you great wave play, great team fight potential, especially with the fact you already have a fair amount of CC on your team as well.
All right, KT now. What is left for them to do? If they sit by idly here, not forcing a team fight, they're going to lose another keep in the bottom lane. Timeless brought down to 50% before the real fight started. The tongue lands, but the cleanse is better.
Cleanse is good. Isolation was also already used in advance of this. One heroic already burned before the fight even starting. Stormbolt not landing though. This allows Hape to back out here. Both these teams posturing, looking for their opportunity. Mosh Pit is used here. Wave of Force not available yet. Finally is used, but the sleep is good, buying some time. In the meantime, though, the Argent Defender is so good. With ETC already down, KTY, Wind, and Alufel have just completely dived the backline. There's the teleport from Alufel, trying to set up. Leaping Strike having to be used for the escape. The second K gets taken out. Wind diving forward, already dropping quite low to Hape, but Hape gets completely wiped by Phoenix. And in the meantime, Dahaka went down in the backline too. Only Hope is there to tell the story, and even he might not be there too long as Wind dived in. Great storm and a cheeky pickup. That's a full team wipe, but that's the keep being ignored as KT move for the call.
Hope died last year in that engagement. He didn't manage to survive. I don't think it would have made any difference here. Maybe with that Lunara staying alive and ETC coming back now, they could have done a little more, but as it is, look at the combined efforts of CE. Together, they take down that core. In a pretty clean fight here from start to finish. They maintained temple control. They had really good disengages and engages whenever they needed them. Phoenix reigns supreme, and if you can't touch him, then Lufel is going to take your lives over and over and over again.
And that's going to be a clean 2-0 for Challenge for CE. This brings them up to a solid 22 points. This does, however, still mean that they are behind SPT still, even though they are now on even... Oh, sorry, no, it brings them up to 19 points. They were only on 16 before. But yes, I was still right that they are still 2 points behind SPT, even though they are on even games now. But CE do get to play twice today, so the game in hand, they might actually overtake. But that game in hand is going to be against the one. CE better carry this momentum if they want a hope of winning.
And, you know, if we remember all the series that CE played against the one in the past, I think the one will probably have a lot of momentum themselves, a lot of positive advantage coming into this, because they were able to beat them over and over again. Most importantly, during the previous playoffs in late 2017, when they actually prevented them from getting second place for the Eastern Clash. So that was really cool to see there. Now, Tetcher, CE, they played pretty well, didn't they? But also KT, twice in a row, in my personal opinion, with questionable drafts.
I would agree that Lunara, we talked about it in the draft, it was questionable and it did not have the effect that we really wanted. I liked the build, but I can't help but feel a Thornwood Vine might have been the choice, but even so, I don't think it would have made that much of a difference. They really struggled to do the damage against a very self-sustaining team with a very healing over time hero versus damaging over time. I have questions, and those questions were left unanswered by the end of that game.
And then you pick an ETC as well, and We all know what Li Mings can do to a mosh pit etc, right? They just save the wave of force every single time. We haven't seen one of those game-changing mosh pits as a result. I think Juya, quite honestly, was in a pretty good spot there with that Li Ming. Got a couple of sexy reset combos. But yeah, CE just seemed to be on top of their opponents this time around. Sky Temple, of course, can be a very punishing map, a very unforgiving map if you have that super good early game lead. And it was especially when that first boss really started to kick in, right? They lost, guess who? Lunara and ETC. Those were the two heroes that died just when they weren't supposed to die because temples were getting active, boss was available, and from then on, it just snowballed out of control for them. So not only is it important to draft well, but also to be aware of when you cannot die under any given circumstance.
So see, with that victory, they not only moved themselves closer to Super Perfect Team, but thanks to a valiant effort by RPG in our first series of the day, they have now put a pretty decent distance between themselves and Beyond the Game. Beyond the Game with 15 points after only achieving a single point versus RPG, whereas Challenge move up to 19. A 4-point differential, 2 series worth of game difference between the two. That's given CE a lovely buffer and one that they will be very happy with.
Very true. Oh man. All right. Oh, I can't wait for this duel later on between CE and the One, because finally CE is starting to look like the team we know them to be.
Very true. But you know who this is even worse news? We already talked about how bad this is for KT. Do you know who else this is good news for?
Talk to me.
Team Nut.
That is correct.
KT
totally forgot about them.
2-0. That means they're still even on score with Team Nut. And Team Nut, they are playing later today versus, well, unfortunately, SPT. But Team Nut, the last time they played SPT, I believe...
Was that a 1-1?
I am correct. That's what I'm trying to find out. No, it was a 2-0. Okay, fair enough. But they have taken 1-1s versus teams like the One, which is pretty impressive. Our current #1 seed. So Team Nut, they've shown they can do it. They've taken 1-1s versus BTG. They've taken maps of pretty much everyone. So the fact is, Team Nut, the possibility's there. And if they only need 1 point to overtake KT at this point.
So we keep talking a lot about CE, SPT, and the One, and who's going to be the strongest team of China, as we see Zuyu take the second MVP of the day up to this point on the Li Ming. Definitely a fair choice if you consider that he dominated Timeless there for the most part with Wave of Forces that were always there to interrupt the mosh pits. His resets, his positioning as well was really good in that game, I felt like. Very, very satisfying to see him play. But Tetcher, like, we talk a lot about these top 3 teams, right? And who's going to make it potentially to the Eastern Clash to represent China, right? But another important ranking in the league is 5th place. If you have 5th place, you can no longer drop down to the relegation of the Crucible, right? Because the worst thing that could happen to you is fall down in the playoffs and you play 6th. But only 7 and 8 are going to have to go down to the Crucible. So for the teams like KT, Team Nut, or even BTG, it's going to be very important to make that 5th place theirs and, you know, secure themselves another face with good money from the HGC and all the fame that goes with it.
And that's what KT and Nut are fighting over. Like we said, they're on even points, but that even points is a tied 6th and 5th position. Whichever one finishes ahead is in that safe zone, like you said. And honestly, that safe zone is more important than ever because right now, I don't feel confident in saying that either KT or Team Nut could beat RPG.
I'm willing to follow you on that one. As long as they maintain Loktar in the roster, they prevent him from going back to university by any means necessary.
Your education can wait. We need you. Please stay for a little bit longer. We need to stay at HGC.
No, I'm totally agreeing with you. I think RPG looks better and better as time goes by. Just like this man, Nova, back on the board, back trying to give us all that sweet, sweet analysis. Let's see what we can do here. This is the first game, of course, 16 versus 18. Now, I want to keep track of the healing pulses because depending on whether Johanna is carrying one, it might be one of those plays where she drops it because of the Stuck of Silence.
Yeah, KTY is holding one right now. That appears to be the only one we can see, but we also can't see Johanna on our screens as of yet. Why is Alufal so far away from his team? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, he's completely separated and not really in a position to support them from an engage angle, you know, in the bottom half of the map. Let's see, here gets KTY. He gets tossed into the back line. In this, at this point, you need to drop the bunker, in my opinion.
I think he does, because you can see his name's gone. So I'm pretty sure he does actually got the bunker
that's a good
here.
point.
I'm pretty sure we're in the animation time, or he's currently in the transition, the frame transition between being stunned and being back to normal.
But there comes a lurking up already. If you look at TWT's animation, like he's already dropping down, but he doesn't even go for KTY.
It was that little frame animation between stunned and not. That's cool. I didn't know that was I didn't know there was a frame that did that. That is a learning.
Kudos to KTY for actually remaining his calm then, because I would have dropped the bunker immediately.
He's fine. He is sustained at least for the moment. And that's allows him to actually get to a Lufel and protect him.
So
but
there.
Taunt on Wind, the silence coming in as well from the Stukov, as you already mentioned. And guess who's holding a healing pulse? It's Wind. He is taunted. He is silenced. Double silenced, basically. As a taunt is basically a silence. And Salvo? I'm pretty sure this kills him. I'm pretty sure he can't get in. Yeah, because he's frozen.
He's frozen in place.
Blocked. He's still silenced, so he can't Iron Skin, so he can't get in the bunker.
Oh, man.
Really nice place, so he does just lose the pulse hit.
That's that moment where Blaze and Johanna, you know, they're... Johanna's almost dropping down a cliff, and Blaze is reaching out his hand and like, grab it! Hold my hand!
Please! But it turns out the cliff's made of ice, and she's stuck in it.
She's slippery
Timeless.
down.
Pulse. He does grab the pulse. Does he drop it? Actually, he has to, like, drop it immediately, right?
Timeless dropped it and used it immediately, exactly. Like, Timeless picked it up and drops it immediately so his team stays sustained.
Used his. Yeah, KTY's used his,
Yep.
but it's so far away from everyone except Hanzo.
Yeah. He
So,
also had to
kind of
panic use it because he realized, you know what, I'm never going to make it out of this mess.
Yeah, which I believe he does, because he's already used Bunker, though. He's able to dash, and yeah, like you said, Timeless drops his pretty much immediately as well. KTY, he does escape. Hammer also with a nice knockback onto Timeless. But yeah, like you said, that was a really nice engage that allowed them to steal away the healing pulse, but Timeless able to get a nice little turnaround play here with the toss, forces Siege tactics very early, and Hammer actually saves Jaina here. Siege is up, blasts her out of auto attack range when one auto would have maybe been enough to finish her off.
I think so too. I think it was just in between the auto attack animation. Like probably Zuya clicked on the Jaina, but it didn't work out because it was still winding up and coming back. So super clutch survival by Jaina. I fully agree with you. That was a really interesting team fight. Like I actually initially thought that KT could dominate even more with that early Johanna kill, but CE really made it kind of hard for them to catch him. So well done by them. And here is game number 2, of course, much more one-sided than the Volskaya Foundry game. At this point, look at the bases. Like, look at the damage that had been done already with that early feeding by ETC and Lunara. So much damage had been dealt already.
Yeah, two keeps alive. One is currently very low. The one-man mosh pit, Wave of Force comes off cooldown just in time to keep her to save the dwarf launch right into the backline. And then it's just Zuyu and 365 just bullying Dahaka, while this...
They even ignore hope on that Lunara. Look at that. All they want is Deckard.
Yeah, the dive forward's so good. Wind drops low, but it's easily enough. It's so good. And then Wind, I love what he does. They don't show it, but he wraps back around the other side anyway and just gets another great dwarf launch into a store ball. Even eats a keep shot, but is able to pick up another kill. Gets in the full team wipe, and they move for core.
Yeah,
lovely job.
I think that was the one moment that secured Zuyu the MVP vote, by the way. He landed a combo onto the two frontliners combined with the Phoenix damage there as well. They just melted ETC within a couple of seconds, and that was just not pretty anymore. And as a result, you know, they picked up one after the other. As we said, it was already KT with their backs against the wall. They had lost so many structures before, and that's just Sky Temple for you. Like, if you screw up the early mid-game, it's so hard for you to stabilize and come back again at it, right? So as it is, though, guys, 4 more games to go. We're not nearly done yet, so we'll be back in a few minutes from now with more HGC China. Stay tuned.